Welcome and hello. This is a update video in HEC HMS, and in this update we're going to be talking about including the characteristics checkbox during GIS export. This is a new feature that's been added to HMS 4.13, and just wanted to demonstrate the difference between 4.12 and 4.13. All right, so if you're watching in the future and you're well past version 4.13, you can probably assume that this update has also been adopted in your version of HMS. In the description to this video, I will leave a link to this webpage right here. It is the 4.13 release notes. This describes a number of new features or feature enhancements and also bug fixes. So if we scroll down to this improvement right here, it's the option to include characteristics with GIS feature export, and it's adding this checkbox right here to the export layers dialog box. We're going to go ahead and see what that looks like in this video, and also how to access these included features in GIS. All right, I'm going to be using QGIS, but what I talk about in QGIS would probably also apply to other GIS mapping programs. All right, so let's get started here. I've got my watershed freshly delineated. The next step we want to do is click on parameters and then click on characteristics. And I want to calculate the subbasin characteristics and the reach characteristics. So I'll click on subbasin and then wait for that to calculate. It looks like I have 9 subbasins, and then here is the data. These are parameters that we can use when using the calculator tool and making global edits. So we have all sorts of hydrologic data that's associated with our what looks like 9 subbasins. All right, so I'll click close. Now we can access that data if we go up to any of our subbasin methods and then click on the calculator. And then instead of grids, we click on stats. Here are those values that are accessible to us in the calculator. So anyway, let's go ahead and run the calculations for reaches now. So I'll click on parameters, characteristics, and then reach. Okay, so only 4 reaches. That was very quick. I'll click close. Now what I'm going to do is export the subbasin shapefile and the reaches shapefile. And remember, this is 4.12, so we're not going to have that new checkbox to include the characteristics. I'm sort of doing a before and after comparison. So this is 4.12. I'm going to go up to GIS menu, export layers, and notice we don't have a checkbox down here, so that's what we'll be seeing in 4.13. I'm first going to export subbasins. So here is our list of layers we can export. Click on next, and then I'm going to navigate to my GIS directory here, GIS, and then I'll call it just 4.12 underscore subbasins, save, finish, and OK. I'm going to export the reach just the same. So GIS, export layers, I'm going to select reaches. Next, I'm going to put this in my GIS directory. Okay, looks like we're already there. 4.12 reaches.shp, save, finish, and OK. All right, let's head over to 4.13. So I have that right here. Looks like I still need to delineate. One second, I'll go up to the GIS menu, delineate elements, and junction, and yes. Okay, so I'll click on delineate. This should just be a moment. It's a very small watershed. Okay, there we go. It's the same watershed, so we should have pretty much the same data. I'm going to click on parameters, characteristics, calculate the subbasin data. This is the same as before. 9 subbasins, that looks good. Click on close. Parameters, characteristics. Now let's calculate the reach data. Okay, that's done. Now when we go to GIS and export layers, we have this checkbox to include characteristics because now we're in HMS version 4.13. I'm going to check that on, select subbasins. It's already selected. Click on next. I'm going to navigate to the GIS directory again. This is for a different project though, so there shouldn't be anything in here. Okay. And then let's just call it subbasins 4.13 and save, next, and OK. And lastly, let's export the reaches for 4.13, export layers. Going to select reaches, include characteristics, next, navigate to our GIS directory. We'll call it 4.13 reaches, save, finish, and OK. All right, so we're all set there. I'm going to make a copy of those 4 shapefiles and just put it in a directory on my desktop so it's easy to access. I'll call it shapefiles. And here's my GIS directory. This is the 4.13 shapefiles. I'm just going to copy that over there. And then let's go to 4.12 GIS directory and also save them to my desktop. All right, just a temporary place for me to make it a quick access point. I've got QGIS up on screen here, so I'm going to load in those shape files. I'm going to sort by type and then come down here to the .shp files and then drag them over to my layers panel. I'll just accept this coordinate system and click OK. All right. It looks like purple is 4.12. And then we also have dark green as 4.13. So let's identify the parameters now available to us in QGIS, comparing 4.12 versus 4.13, first subbasins and then the reaches. So I'm going to click on the Identify tool right here, and then just do a single left click, and we can get the data for 4.13 subbasins, 4.12 subbasins, or all, which is both. I'll just click on that. Over here in the Identify Results panel, we have 4.13, and then here are our parameters that are hydraulically calculated from HMS. We have the longest flow path length, longest flow path slope, centroidal flow path length, centroidal flow path slope, the 1085 length and slope, and so on. I'm not going to read them all. And then here are the values that can be used for performing calculations in GIS. All right, comparing that with 4.12, if I expand the name, what we have here is the centroidal X and Y for the whole subbasin, the area, the lat long, and the basin ID. So we have some of this data, I believe, up in the derived. So here is the area, 15233. Let's see, 15233. Yeah, different units, but both metric. And it looks like there is some different data. But what I was trying to demonstrate in this exercise is that we now have this hydraulic calculated data for each of our subbasins. So I can click on this subbasin right here. And for 4.13, I have all the subbasin specific data that I may want to use for a calculation. All right, let's take a look at the reach data now. So I'm going to toggle off the subbasin layers, and then with Identify tool still selected, just click on a reach. Here's one of them. Here's another. Okay, that's what I meant. Identify all. All right, so now it looks like 4.12 is on top. Looks like there's some information here, like the slope, straight line. I'm honestly not sure what all of these mean. Looks like there's some X and Y coordinates for upstream and downstream ends of the reach. All right, let's go down to 4.13, expand name. And then here are the hydraulically calculated parameters from HMS. So we have the reach length, the reach relief, reach sinuosity, reach slope, and then units for the length. We don't have units for relief apparently. All right, so anyway, these parameters are not found in the 4.12 reach data, and that's because this is a new feature to 4.13, and I assume that this feature will remain in HMS for a number of versions to come.